is how it looks then, with Walker and Ellison on the Lloyd's British GB Motor Kawasaki's first and third. Shaky Byrne in the middle for Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki. 5 Kawasaki's out of the top 6. Hopkins is the only intruder for Taiko Suzuki. And then you've got Richard Cooper and Ben Wilson on their respective Kawasaki's. Tommy Bridewell, Milwaukee Yamaha. Batham's BMW's. Michael Rutter was looking strong in that first race. BMW, James Stuart Easton looking for a bright start from that position, and he's ahead of Patrick Moff and Quattro Plant Kawasaki's survivor Dan Linfoot.
Simon Andrews has pulled up at the end of the first. There he goes. That's Simon Andrews. He's retired already. The RAF Reserves Honda Fireblade. Unlucky for him. I think that possibly had something to do with the fact that he put it upside down in qualifying yesterday. He had a really big crash, big high side on the bottom straight, and did a fair bit of damage to that bike. And there's such, even with the rules as they are now, there's less electronics, but there's still tons and tons of little sensors and crank sensors and lambda sensors. It's just one wire or a bit of chafing that'll put him out. I think it's probably something to do with that.
So lining up for the 12 laps first race. Chris Walker on pole position, looking for the classic stalker start he's always convinced that he can make. That's James Ellison. Ellison is in third place on the grid. What he would like to do is get away ahead of Shaky Byrne. That would give him such a valuable advantage. The ex-champion, the 3-time champion, is bang in the middle of those two.
Come on, Chris.
Oh, he got a little bit of an over-eager jump, but he did get the jump on Shaky. And Ellison, oh, it's not, it's Ben Wilson who dives through on the inside. Wilson, once again, elbows out, makes a terrific start, and he's up into third place.
Yeah, that's Chris Walker, Shane Byrne, and Ben Wilson. Like you said, cracking start from Ben, but an equally good start from Chris Walker. Never seen him make a bad start ever.
So Ellison 4th, Hopkins 5th. Easton has leapt to 6th place from 10th. Bridewell 7th. Cooper has got knocked back to 8th place. Rutter 9th.
Oh, lots of bumping and boring now. I think Keith Farmer came off worse there, of a little bit of sideways action on the bottom straight.
So Walker has the advantage. Wilson in 3rd place. Ellison will be desperate to find a way past the gear-linked Kawasaki, because he's only got 12 laps to try and get himself into the, well, at least onto the rostrum. Here comes Shaky Byrne making a very early move on Walker, and 1 lap in already. The London-born 3-time champion gets himself there. Walker comes back up the inside. Shaky waves a leg and warns him off.
Shaky's gone wide though. Take that.
Yes, Christopher, very nice. Walker then back to the front.
Walker trying to give him a tattoo there. Damn it.
So Walker, number 9, his traditional number 9, is back in the front, and that's exactly what Mark Halverson-Smith was hoping that he's.
Even though we've had a fair portion of this race already before it was stopped, it's not an aggregate result. This is just a straight fight. What you see is what you get here.
Look how they're tucking right underneath the line of cement dust there. A stalker determinedly swoops across the front of the Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki down Paddock Hill Bend. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is steep. It's completely blind. It's like dropping off the end of a cliff. Fastest lap, 46.4, Chris Walker.
Yep. Ellison now in 3rd. Wilson back to 4th.
We're on the 3rd lap of 12. The Lloyd's British GB Motors Kawasaki, the Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki. And in 3rd place now, Ellison has bumped his way through and is trying to close the gap on the 2 leaders as we approach already almost quarter distance.
Yeah, coming around clearways once again. Dead impressed with how equally matched these bikes are. Rules as they are in BSB, that should be the case, but it certainly is.
And once again, Shaky gets terrific drive, and this time Chris has no answer. Shaky had got the drive coming out of the Clark curve, and that gave him the advantage along the Brabham Straight. Ellison quick as 46.043.
Shaky went in really quick to do his again there. That almost again allowed Walker up the inside of him.
Wilson is 4th, fending off John Hopkins and that white Suzuki behind him. You can see Cooper running 6th, Easton 7th.
Like I said when we saw him in the garage, I had a feeling about Ellison. I just think Ellison's got a fair bit of confidence going with him now after that first run.
Checking out who's... Oh, the Ducati's moved up as well. Jakob Smerts up into 8th place.
We'd expect to see Jakob Smerts there. Unlucky was the one who didn't benefit from that wet qualifier. Oh, Stalker's gone really wide.
His teammate just took a look then and thought, oh, I might be able to just sneak through.
Yeah, I think.
And now he's within catching distance of Walker.
Yeah, and Chris needs to sort of settle down. He doesn't need to think that Shaky Byrne's getting away and he needs to push on. I think Chris has got the pace for a Rostamine anyway.
Well, he's certainly got the space behind him. Look at that. There's a gap back to Ben Wilson and John Hopkins. These three have pretty much made that break as we're already on the 5th lap of the 12-lap shortened race. Remember, this was scheduled originally for 30 laps, so this really is a sprint.
I think that Chris Walker there will be much more likely to get stuck in and about his teammate than he would Shane Byrne, you know.
Yes. Oh, Chris had a big, kind of light front-end wobble at that point as he came out of the Clark curve.
Yeah, the only thing you got to watch there is if sometimes you get that going on, it pushes the flex in the front end, pushes the pads back in the calipers, and that means you get to the next corner, no brakes. So you've always got to put pressure back in the system before you get to the next corner.
Ben Wilson, he's good. Looking pretty comfortable. He's holding on to that 4th place. Hopkins, Richard Cooper still having a lively ride in 6th. Easton not able to get to grips with him in 7th. Bridewell 8th, Smertz 9th. Westmoreland rounds out the top 10 ahead of Rutter and Muff again running together.
You wouldn't have Ben Wilson been in front of John Hopkins, would you? For 3rd?
No.
You just wouldn't. Paul, sorry.
There's the Millsport to Panagali right on the back wheel as they cross the line of Tommy Bridewell, the two red machines together.
Yeah, the rules have changed slightly in BSB just to allow that Panigale Ducati that little bit more sort of competitiveness, shall we say. They're allowed different pistons now, which means the valves can be timed differently, more aggressively. That should give it a little bit more power and mid-range.
We've lost Barry Burrell, he's retired to the pits. We lost Andrews, of course, before the race had even started. Chianari, incidentally, hasn't been able to improve on 19th place. He's behind Harry Hartley, the youngest lad in the race, the 17-year-old from Burnley.
Yeah, unusual that. I mean, that was a really scary first start for Chianari because he stalled it, but he looked to me like he had the pace to run top 5 or 6.
Chris Walker now has settled down. He's listened to you, James, and he's looking as if he's setting the same pace as Ellison and able to just, well, sit there ahead of him, really.
Yep, he's actually setting about the same pace as the leader Byrne, but there is that sort of, about half-second gap just over, maybe.
Well, Ellison set a lap of 46.063, but he's not able to match that now. He's running at 46.5. Hopkins in 5th, Cooper, Easton, Tommy Bridewell still fending off Jakob Smertz, James Westmoreland in 10th, and then they're fighting the other point scorers, Rutter, Linfoot, Moff, Jessup and Josh Waters.
You know, already with 3/4 of the way through this race.
So on to the 9th lap of 12. Look at this gang. You can see that 9th place Smertz is quite frustratingly close to 4th place Wilson. There's an awful gaggle of them there, well, fighting over these places, but no one really able to make a move yet.
With 3.5 laps left, it's time for a lunge, Jacob.
It is, and I've got a feeling like it looks to me as if Easton, he's not quite the lunging type, but he's been very close to Cooper for a couple of laps, not able to get past him. So the two, there they are, the two boyish-looking 30-year-olds are locked together on their two Kawasaki's.
Yep, that's... Yeah, blue bike Farmer, red bike Chianari. That's actually, he's going backwards because Harry Hartley's in front of him now.
I think Harry Hartley's moved past him on the Halsall Racing Kawasaki.
Definitely.
So something not quite right for Keogh at the moment.
I would agree.
And there is Hartley moving on now. But you know, he said he was enjoying the. He said he had a. Oh no, it's not. It's the other Halsall Racing Kawasaki. It's Lee Costello. Lee Costello who's moved ahead of Keith Farmer there.
It is.
And Costello, of course, had a blinding ride at the end of the series last year here at Brands Hatch. Run 2nd in slightly iffy conditions.
Yeah, both Hartley and his teammate Costello both from the northwest. I think Wigan for Costello. I think Burnley for Hartley.
He's a Bolton boy, Costello.
Is it Bolton? And just got 17, actually.
Look at that. How loose does Shaky Byrne look? He's thoroughly enjoying himself. An assault. He's got 11 and 2 laps left in which to do something about Chris Walker.
Yeah, he has. I like James Ellison, but I don't want him to pass Chris Walker. I've been building up for that for some laps.
You're the man who's accused me of bias in the past. What's all this about?
Oh, mate, I'm as biased as they come, I am.
Shaky Byrne leads the way. There is Chris Walker, who makes the men both fore and after him seem like relative children.
Chris Walker's just one of these lads that's quick on anything. Motocross bike, quick. Trials bike, not so quick, but very good. He just has that feel, that kind of eye to hand, and he's just good on bikes.
Finished top 10, of course, in the Western Beach race about 2 or 3 years ago. Always enjoys being on two wheels, whatever or wherever he is. He's on to the final lap. The fastest lap classification, of course, will set up the race 2. Ellison has been quickest. Byrne, Walker, they change around on the front row of the grid. Easton, Bridewell and Jakob Smerts. Even though Smerts has not, Bridewell's got past Richard Cooper into 7th, but Jakob Smerts hasn't managed to. As we watch the battle for second place go on, it's going to be victory, first time out, and 5 podium points, of course, for the race winner, Shaky Byrne, making the perfect start in his attempt to reclaim the British title and go for a record-breaking 4th crown. He crosses the line for Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki, and right behind him,
Walker.
the 2 Lloyd's British GB Moto boys cross the line, and Ben Wilson holds on to a proper tank slapper, crossing the line in a brilliant 4th place for Gearlink Kawasaki. 5th place, John Hopkins, Taiko Suzuki. 6th, Stuart Easton grabbed Tommy Bridewell by the scruff of the neck in the run-up to the line and snatched 6th place. 8th for Richard Cooper, just by about 600ths of a second from Jakob Smerts. James Westmoreland in 10th. Linfoot, Rutter, Jessup, Muff and Waters, the point scorers. Kianari recovered to 16th. But for Shane Byrne, all that matters to him is that he won that. For these 2 guys, Chris Walker gets his 49th podium, and it is, of course, something like the 52nd race win in British Superbikes for the race winner, Shaky Byrne. In fact, it is indeed 52 race wins and 67 podiums for number 67, Shaky Byrne. The speedy fastest lap goes to the Lloyd's British GB Moto Kawasaki of James Ellison, who finally managed to get 0.3 of a second below Jossie Elliott's phenomenal new Superstock 1000 lap record.
Easy for you to say?
No, not so easy for me to say. So the result of the first frantic contest in the MCE British Superbike Championship of 2014. Shaky Byrne, Rapid Solicitors Kawasaki. 2nd and 3rd for Lloyd's British GB Moto. Ben Wilson 4th in the Kawasaki 1-2-3-4 for Gearlink Kawasaki. John Hopkins, Taiko Suzuki 5th. Stuart Easton is 6th. Tommy Bridewell's Milwaukee Yamaha 7th, ahead of Richard Cooper on the Anvil Higher Tag Kawasaki. Jakob Smerts, Millsport Ducati, the Irish-based squad with the Czech rider. James Westmoreland, build-based BMW, is 10th. 11th for his pal Dan Linfoot, Quattro Plant Kawasaki, ahead of Michael Rutter, Batham's BMW. Martin Jessup, good ride for part-time Jessupi on the ridersmotorcycles.com BMW, ahead of Patrick Muff and Josh Waters, with Kianari, Costello, Harry Hartley, Keith Farmer and the former Australian Supersport champion Mitchell Carr rounding out the top 20. So after that breathless 12-lap charge, Shaky Byrne has 25 points. Chris Walker has 20, James Ellison 16, Ben Wilson 13, 11, and then 1 point drops for Stuart Easton in 6th place, 7th Tommy Bridewell, 8th Richard Cooper, 9th Jakob Smerts and 10th, 6 points for James Westmoreland. 5 points for Dan Linfoot, 4 for Michael Rutter, 3 for Martin Jessup, 2 for Patrick Muff, and 1 for Taiko Suzuki's Josh Waters.